up? It's me, Weston.
And Marcelo.
And welcome to Trash Talk.
Arc 6. The start of the Indie Games arc.
Indie
really
games.
cool. A lot of games, a lot of cool games. And this first one is pretty much a classic at this point. You know, you all have to know it in one way or another. Super Meat Boy.
Super Meat Boy! Now available on Xbox Live Arcade and coming soon on Nintendo Wii and PC.
Really, really tough.
Platforming game.
In some areas. So, let's go with the summary. So this game was developed and published by Team Meat. Its first initial release. The weird thing about Super Meat Boy is that its release was spread across its multi-platform, but it was spread across quite a couple of years. So its initial release date on the Xbox 360 was October 20th of 2010, and its most recent. I'm not going to go through all. I wasn't about to memorize all of the other release dates, but its latest release date was on the Wii U on May 12th of this year. So that gives you a good idea of a 6-year span of it coming out for multiple platforms. So that's pretty crazy. Story time.
Alright, so the story is as basic as any Mario plot, or even as the Legend of Zelda plots. Basically, your girlfriend gets kidnapped by, your girlfriend is a bandage girl, and she gets kidnapped by a fetus, who is also a doctor.
Dr. Fetus.
Dr. Fetus, yes. So basically the whole goal of the game is to save her girlfriend from getting beaten up by this fetus.
It's very much a Mario plot. It
Yeah.
has no real meat to it, no pun intended.
You should slap yourself.
So, onto the gameplay, which is the main thing we're going to be talking about right here. So, gameplay. I think you should start.
So the first few worlds started off pretty easy, but by the time I got to the boss, I was pretty annoyed. And this is the first world, mind you, and I don't really care for platformers. And this is a platforming game where you have to really time your jumps and everything. And it also has some time trial elements to it, in which if you want to get the good grades and all that stuff, which rewards you A+, B+, maybe, I don't know.
Oh, it's just A+.
It's always just A+.
That's like a perfect, like, you did it.
Yeah, you did. Okay, so pretty much you get graded in A+ if you do it.
If you get the if you hit the time trial, it's optional, but they do. You know, you can take as long as you want to complete each level, but you are on a timer, so you'll see in the menu. Which also, let's just talk about that. Well, no, we'll see that first. Sorry. When you're in the menu and you choose your level, right before you choose your level, you'll see that there's a little thing in the corner that says, either whatever time you completed it in or not yet, if you haven't even played the level yet, but there's a time for you to beat, and if you can beat that time, I guess like on the first try, because I've seen you hit A+ a couple times, you're awarded an A+ if you do the time trial. I always thought it was on your first try, but you've done it a couple times on certain levels and then hit the mark, because the time always resets. It doesn't just keep going even when you die. After every death it resets. And I thought you had to get it on the first try. Apparently you don't, but if you're perfect and you make it and you do it in a fast enough time, you're awarded an A+, as in you perfected the level, and the little icon of that level on the menu will be shiny. There's that. There's also bandages you can collect, which the more bandages you collect, you can unlock new characters, which are basically either other indie game characters like Commander Video from the Bit Trip series, or the head crabs from Half-Life.
Yeah.
So
which we advise you not to
fuck
play.
Fuck that guy. Fuck the head crab. Each character has their own gimmick, and I haven't unlocked all the characters yet. I think Chase has, because link down below to Chase's video. He has a video on his channel that he made a couple years back, and it's really funny. This game is rage-inducing. Let's just get that out of the way, you know, if you haven't played it. The difficulty racks up the further you go, and the first world is easy enough until, you know, the later, like he was saying, later in the levels, and
they add more saws.
It's mainly saws, and I mean, after that, they like new elements come within every world and such. So I mean, the further you progress, the more shit they throw at you. I totally didn't know what I was going to say. There was a thing I was starting to say and then I went off on another thing. What the hell was it? I don't remember. I'm sorry. We do that a lot here.
Well, like for example, and I saw you playing the fourth level, the fourth world, yeah, which is basically hell.
It's just straight up hell.
It is straight up hell. There were some things that tripped you up, namely the jaw, the clamping jaws.
Okay, because here's the thing. When I first got the game, as we were planning out, Arc 6, I was like, Super Meat Boy has to be there. And so I bought the game off Steam and I started playing it. And in the one run, I got up to hell. And I was like, okay, so I stopped at a certain level. Then I hadn't played it since. We picked up just prior to recording, and I had him play the first world, and that was his experience. And then I went on to pick up where I left off, so I can show him how crazy it gets later on. And that first level I picked up on from where I left off introduced the fucking black jaw dudes. And it's already worse enough, it's bad enough that he's a huge ass dude that tracks you and goes really fast, but when he makes contact with whatever, the walls, the floor, it spreads off into like these littler chumpies, and fuck that.
There's always 5 of them. They're kind of spaced out to where you can jump away from them, but if you're pretty crap with how you jump.
Because there's so much of this shit. There's the platforming, and so it all stacks up on each other. It's not impossible as much as it seems when you first go into whatever level or whatever.
It just requires really pinpoint timing.
Yeah.
As well as kind of a more mastery of the controls. Which, something I am really crap at platformers especially is timing my jumps. I cannot time for shit. I always rush it and then I always end up dying.
So with this, continuing on for the gameplay, we'll head to aesthetics right now. But for the gameplay, let's talk about controls for a little bit, because the controls, somehow, I don't know how Team Meat did it, but somehow they made it. This is the first game I've experienced like this, to where they're really slippery, and I don't care much for slippery controls, but at the same time they are kind of tight and responsive. They're responsive in the sense of, if there's times where you flub up because it happens, it's on you, or it's just whatever. Other times when you're trying to jump and you're trying to land somewhere, he's really floaty. Meat Boy is really floaty. Many other characters are really floaty, because you didn't really play. Well, we played a Titan Cup for a bit. Oh, that's what I was trying to say. To finish that thought super quick, for each character you play as, they have their different things, characteristics about them. Like Commander Video can float like Peach. Head Crab takes longer to slide down a wall when you're wall jumping, but he's slower and just clunkier in my opinion. But yeah, so when you're turning as a character, when you're turning in the air, it's weird. Let's just say it like that. It's slippery. So I mean, what do you think of the controls? So I know that was one thing you were like, fuck.
I was a little bit more. I didn't have much of a problem with the turning, more of the jumping controls, because like as I think you told me this earlier. The jumping, it really heavily depends on how hard or how sensitive. It's really the jump control is really sensitive. Sometimes I've had some problems where I would sometimes press the jump button and the jump button just wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I did not really like the jump controls. Like when I had to play a platformer, I really want to make sure that the jump controls are really good.
Yeah. Okay, let's cut real quick. Okay, so as you were saying.
So anyway, sometimes the jump controls weren't very responsive to me. So this could have just been me, but I don't know. The jump controls can be really awkward at times.
Oh, I know how to explain that. I don't think this is an official term, but I called it contact sensitive, to where the longer you hold down the button, or right when you let go of the button, that determines how he jumps. So it's not like Mario where you hit the button. That's my sound effect for hitting the button. You hit the button and he'll just jump, his normal jump. Well, with Meat Boy, the longer you hold on the button, the further he'll jump. The second you let go of the jump button, he'll just start descending. Not like a straightforward boom, like drop straight down from wherever he is. It's just more of, he'll stop gaining momentum and he'll lose momentum the second you let go of the button. So Yeah, it's really precision based, and it's not. It's a hassle at certain times because of how tight the level design is. So, which we'll get into in the next. Let's just do that now. Let's now go into aesthetics. Now, let me also say real quick. For this arc, since we don't have any physical copies of these are indie games, they're mainly found on Steam, the Wii U's eShop, the
PlayStation Store.
We don't have physical copies, so I mean, we're gonna nix the box cover portion of the aesthetics aspect for this arc because of that. But for aesthetics, which also goes into level design, there are times where it can get really tight, and then there's the buzzsaws and shit, so you have to really time everything with your this also falls into controls with your wall jumping, because you can wall jump in vein of Mega Man. You can jump here's a wall, you can just jump on the wall on the same wall essentially, and lots of puzzles, lots of challenges built around that, but it's tough. I mean, so aesthetics though, like, what did you get from the aesthetics?
The aesthetics have that very cartoony look to them, but honestly with the more mature kind of stuff going on.
Like humor.
Yeah, with more mature.
Fucking violence.
A lot of squirrels dying in that game.
Dying squirrels. Abuse to the girlfriend, to a bandaged girl.
Yeah, with how Dr. Fetus will beat the crap out of her sometimes.
Or we just beat the one boss from hell, I forgot his name, Little Stomp or Little whatever his name was. Right after beating him, he thinks he sees Dr. Fetus, and he starts beating the shit out of him, and it's his girlfriend. Dr. Fetus put her in his outfit to replace him as he tried to GTFO. So, the aesthetics are really cool because it starts off, as every kind of game has to for some reason, for a cartoony platformer. It has to start off in the forest with the woodlands and all that. That's the first, with the squirrels and such. So that's the first world. The second world's called the hospital, and it's very much more of like a haunted looking area. I like the music. We'll get to that later. It's very spooky looking, with skulls and the saw blades and stuff and everything. And then it's got like needles and shit everywhere. It also introduces the fans. There's fans, which you saw a little bit of that. So yeah. There's the fans, and that's pretty crazy. Then there's what was the third world called? The third world was, we skipped over it really quickly. I don't remember what it was called. I think it's just here. I don't remember. But number 4 is hell. And then once you beat the boss from that world, and Dr. Fetus just fucks shit over.
Just pretty much destroys the world, and then you enter
the Rapture.
World. Yeah, you enter Rapture.
So it's and then from there, that's as far as I've gotten. So please don't spoil it. But from there, that's where we're at right now, and it's pretty to keep up with the theme of it's a hard game, and everything's it'll just get tougher from the first world onward. I like the aesthetics; they're really cool.
Yeah.
So colors are nice, and the one thing I can say is I kind of wish, I mean, the camera angle changes a lot of the time. I mean, what I mean by that is there are levels, we haven't even scratched the surface. We can't talk about everything in this game because I haven't experienced everything and we're still on our time limit. But the one thing I want to say is that not only are there the bandages and all that stuff, there's also alternate little black hole-ish things that you can go through. You have to find them in certain levels, then you can enter a little mini stage, which takes from they make fun of the Game Boys, not Game Boy Advance, the Game Boys, green backlight, look, and everything's just black outline look, and that's pretty cool. It's very much of a retro feeling. You also got just straight up 8-bit, like Mario Brothers, and then you got it's stuff like that. You have those, which are pretty cool, but they're really fucking hard. Then you've got the Dark World levels, which are
pretty much just levels from the main game, except they were made a lot more challenging.
Yeah.
Which means in the first world, at least, more buzzsaws.
More buzzsaws.
Put more in there.
I don't even want to see the Dark World versions of Hell and Rapture. I don't want to.
Maybe there are more chompy mouths and eye lasers.
Fuck those things.
Instead of maybe one, there's 5 of them, and they're all just chasing after you. That would be hilarious.
I don't know. There's a lot to go over though. So at the aesthetics. Oh, the one thing I was gonna say was that I kind of wish that the camera can either be fixed as just the one screen and it doesn't scroll with you, or it will scroll with you, and that's just a typical 2D platforming formula. I kind of wish the camera was a little zoomed in more, because there are times where he's not so much of a dot, but he is really small on the screen, you know, Meat Boy. So having to see where you're going and track everything and all the saws and everything else is fucking big as shit. It can make it a little hard to, because some of the colors, speaking just more about colors, are a little bit more muted. So like with Meat Boy being meat colored, which is kind of a brownish red, sometimes it's a little hard to see where you are. I've never really lost track, but I can see of where I was while I was playing through the darker levels, the darker colored levels, but I can see how someone could get a little confused. It's kind of like they could have either made him a bit brighter or brought in the camera a little bit more, but they want you to see everything of what's gonna come up in the level, so I mean that makes sense. It's a nitpick for me, so I don't really know.
So anyway, now to soundtrack.
Soundtrack. Really, really awesome. It meshes pure 8-bit tracks, which are catchy as hell, to just using other instruments. Like there's like the first boss's theme is a heavy metal theme, and that's really cool. And I think my favorite track so far has to be the track from, because I think it's like one song per world, because you blaze through the levels like that, and they'll just take you, once you beat a level to the next one, and you'll go through like that. And there's 20 stages per world, and then the boss. And they can go by pretty quickly if you can get through them pretty quickly, but again, it's hard. It's a hard game. But my favorite soundtrack right now is the track that plays during the hospital. It just sounds really cool. It's really catchy. I like the beat, so it's really cool. Did you really get to hear the music while you were playing?
I didn't hear the music. I liked the first boss theme, even though I hate the first boss.
The first boss itself. The fucking disappearing sand blocks were what we were getting you.
Oh yeah. And then for some reason, like the wall jumping was like really terrible in that level.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I guess I was just doing really kind of crappy. I almost got to the end several times.
Yeah.
Those sand blocks were screwing me over.
So. West Rage is a beautiful thing to see and a terrifying thing to see. You can see that firsthand, link down below, to one of the older videos of Destination Mark, where we did Mark plays that one little, you remember Smash Brothers? Brawl. Yeah, so West Rage.
Yeah, when I rage, I go. I don't, it's not a steady jump, it's more of a meltdown. just straight up meltdown. Everything could be a wonderful day, then the sun explodes.
Click the link firsthand, you'll see it.
That is my rage.
Yeah, I rage too. I mean, everyone has to have rage. Chase's rage isn't like ours, where it's just a straight up outburst, but you can see him rage in that video where we're linking down below too to his gameplay of it. A very short gameplay, but it took him so long to get to like one particular level. But yeah, no, so the soundtrack's cool. We can both agree that it's really good, and that's one of the best things about it. The gameplay is really fun too. It does have its little issues of the controls, and that's mainly where the gameplay itself is fun. And we knew what we were supposed to do. Like, you were actually cranking through levels pretty quickly. It wasn't until the end of the first world where themes started tripping you up, and then you got a little bit pissed because you couldn't get through the themes that were happening there. But for the most part, you got through like at least the first half of the first world pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, the conveyance is there, and it's pretty well done. But it's mainly the controls that kind of are like, you need to kind of,
Yeah.
It's intentional, I can see how it's intentional, but I think it would have been a better experience overall if you're going to make it a rage game, to at least make the controls not as floaty. I don't know, it's a little weird to explain, because again, at times it's floaty, at other times it's not. It's actually kind of tight, and you can really, at least for me, because I'm a 2D platformer junkie, so like I can really get a hang of it. But sometimes it would fuck me up quite, pretty badly. So.
All right. So soundtrack overall is pretty awesome. So characters, yeah.
Characters.
So there's only really 3 characters besides the bosses, and that's Dr. Fetus, Bandage Girl, and Meat Boy. And is Meat Boy supposed to be kind of an idiot?
We use the word special. Why?
I don't know. It's just like a lot of the stuff he does. He kind of seems like an idiot in some respects.
I don't know. There's no dialogue whatsoever in this game, so I mean everything's conveyed through through their expressions and through their actions. So I mean, why you say, okay, no, I want to know, like, why do you think it's
Okay, and like before the hell boss, like he was like poking some guy with a stick for a little while.
Oh yeah.
And then like he finally flips him over, and then like for a lot of stuff that he does, like even when he like sees his girlfriend be abused and all that shit, like he has like this stupid happy smile on his face. But almost every time before like Dr. Fetus shows up, beats up his girlfriend a little bit, and then like disappears, he's just like.
I mean, there are times. Well, that's in game. I don't know why they didn't change expression for that in game, but he obviously expresses like, "Shit, I need to save her" in the cutscenes and such. But he is a hero. He's a typical hero because there's one boss you didn't get to play yet, where he's almost, I forgot what his name was. I think it's in World 3. He's something of a carbon copy of Meat Boy, and you have to race him because like shit's blowing up or some like liquid substance is rising or some shit, and you have to race the boss to the end, and that's the boss fight essentially. It's not so much of a fight as it is a race, and that's sort of the main things. Like, we didn't even really say that. One of the things about the boss battles is that they're not so much as battles as it's more platforming. You have to try and get away from the first boss. You have to race. No, you have to. The other one is some weird meat monster in the second world, and you just have to dodge when he rises up to try and chomp you. And it's just unlocking keys or getting keys to unlock these little locked blocks that block off your path to keep. You have to just rise up and go up this structure. So you're not fighting these bosses, but the one from hell, it's just dodging the attacks, and he's bringing down the place.
And then learning pattern recognition, like what he's gonna do. For some reason, in particular, this fourth boss, a lot of people really hate this guy.
Yeah.
But I remember you died to him a little bit, but only from like the first attack when he would do like the.
That was just because my timing was fucked. I wasn't really paying too much attention to my timing.
Yeah, but when we got to the third stage, and I think this is the stage where he goes all random and stuff with his, because the first two I know.
The more I died, the more I realized, well, those ones are set as that's a set pattern.
Yeah, so the first two.
Because I heard it from an old JonTron review that he goes, that dude eventually at some point mixes up his attacks. It's like the same three or so, but they're never the same. The pattern's always the same.
No, for the first two stages, like the pattern's always the same.
Yeah.
Because I noticed. I think the third one is where like the third phase is where he changes it up, and we only saw the third phase once because I think all you were doing was like kind of standing on the left or right corner ends when he was doing his punch attack.
Yeah.
And then he just slammed his head to the ground like a goddamn idiot and then killed himself.
I don't know. But what I was gonna say about the boss fights and about Meat Boy as a character is that when you're racing the one from World 3, he almost doesn't make it because in that cutscene the boss is about to fall off because you reach a certain structure point and he's trying to catch up to you and he falls, but Meat Boy catches him and tries to hold on to him. And he wants to save him, but then he slips or something, and then he dies, and that happens. But he has a good heart, is the thing. So back to characters. Meat Boy might be a little bit dense, let's just say dense, but he is still pretty good-hearted, which is pretty cool.
Well,
and again, it's all
what do you expect? He's made out of meat.
But he's yeah, everything's conveyed through his facial expressions and his actions. So I mean, same thing for all of them. Bandage Girl so far is just pretty much the damsel, and who gets beaten up all the time. And Dr. Fetus is really funny. What's hilarious, and it's just I can't believe they did it. And they had to have taken it out of the Wii U version unless they kept it, and unless they gave it like something of. Can you get an M rating for flipping the bird in the game?
I don't think so.
Did you really check that? Did you really see that the little icon of Dr. Fetus that pops up when you switch to Dark World? That little transition that happens, and his little icon pops up, he's flipping you off? Oh. That's what happens. So, that happens.
That Fetus has been watching too many bad movies.
He's just the kind of villain, like, I'm going to, fuck shit up for him.
He has a monocle on the top hat,
There you go.
That's how villainous he is.
If you could just find, some train tracks, he'll tire to the thing and be like, can you save her now? Like,
watch out, Mr. Meat Boy.
And he was doing that voice throughout the entire fucking thing. Oh god.
So anyway, the characters are pretty basic, but for a game like this,
you can get attached to them. I mean, because Dr. Fetus is kind of funny for what it's worth, and I think the weakest one, if you had to pick between like who you'd like, you know, in terms of characters, would probably be Bandage Girl, because there's not so much. She doesn't do much.
She gets beat up.
She doesn't try to escape or try to do something.
That's
funny.
why she's called Bandage Girl. Because
She's
we
always
always
being beat up.
Yeah.
So she has to be like, shit, here's another one. Shit, here's another one. Bandages will fix everything. So, I don't know.
And if she's mean, it's like, wow, you're really pounding that meat in.
So, verdicts. I'm just gonna ignore that joke altogether. Final verdicts.
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. 3 out of 5?
Yeah, it's a fun game. It's just, I don't really care for platformers, and
I'm taking that out of the... As a video game, how is it?
it's pretty alright.
Can't take bias out of it. So 3.
So yeah.
I'm just gonna keep it 3.
3.5 out of 5. It's an alright game. It's pretty fun, but the controls, they could be a little bit better, and if that, I knew they were intentional, but the controls can be pretty wonky at times, and that can lead to some unnecessary deaths and a lot of rage. So I'm gonna keep it a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah. I go to 4 because it is really fun, and it's really it's fun, even though yeah, it's a rage game first and foremost. So of course, if you're going to want to play this game, be prepared to get mad at the very least, a couple times. Not even one time. Like at least
here's
2 or 3 times instances.
Here's a suggestion. Just grab a hammer and grab something you just don't really care about, and every time you get mad, just smash that thing.
to let out your aggression.
Don't smash your computer, guys, over this game. Because then you're just gonna look like an idiot and have to spend thousands of dollars on a new computer because you went apeshit.
That's really fun. So, that being said, this is the start of Arc 6. So hopefully you guys love this arc, and be prepared to see a lot more of not just the 2 of us, but a bunch of combinations of the 4 of us with Chase and Jerry as well. So, I'm Marcelo.
I'm Weston.
This was Trash Talk, Arc 6. The funny thing is that you let it slip that we were doing Arc 6. Do you remember when we were talking about, I think it was Mario Brothers 2, back in like Arc 4 or something, and you go, oh, so we're doing indie games, we should do Limbo. And I was like, I just looked at you like, are you serious? I just fucking said that we're doing indie games right now? We haven't even...
When did I say that? On a little sub note, if we're doing indie games, we could talk about Limbo, because I actually have it on my Xbox One, and I actually played that.
Spoilers. We might do indie games. It was in Arc 4. It was in, look it up. Look, link? No link, just look it up.
I don't even remember that.
It totally happened, it's hilarious. See you guys.